Hey everyone, Sycra here, and today I'm streaming with my good buddy Bob Meatbag.
Hey, meatbags.
And my girl Flavia.
Hi.
So, we will be taking questions from the audience, but we're also gonna be doing drawings and stuff and answering questions from the Pointy series that I've been doing lately. So, there's that. So, Bob, do you have something that you're going to be drawing?
Yes, I do. There was a prompt about a knight on a horse and the faces, my screaming faces. So I'll be doing that one.
Cool. Cool! So, I am also maybe going to be drawing, I suppose. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what I'll be drawing. But you're going to be doing your night. And all right, can we start with some questions?
Okay, so there's a bunch of questions I found on your Pointy Chin series. Okay. I really like your videos. I wonder if you come up with the poses yourself or if you use references.
No, I just come up with the poses myself. Like so. Let's see. How's this gonna look? Alright.
And there's other people wondering why.
Why what?
Why do you prefer to use your imagination rather than use reference? There's a bunch of people have been told that working without reference is more for practicing things you've already seen.
No, because, okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so I'm doing a pose, and I'm thinking, okay, so let's say, what do I want her to be? No, it's going to be a girl, because whatever. Or you decided it's going to be a girl. But, okay, so let's say I want her to be doing something. Well, okay, so here it's just from imagination, and she's going to be standing. Now let's say she wants to be pointing. I can just use my imagination and sort of try and point and say, okay, maybe she's pointing, and so the reason that I am using imagination is because I'm trying to train my imagination, get better with my imagination, and so it makes sense to do things from imagination. Now, this too, it's okay, like you could be using reference, and maybe it's good to do it that way. I certainly used to use a lot more reference, but what I found is that I became reliant on the reference, and I don't want to be. Because let's say this is really crappy, right? Like this thing, then I can do another one. Like, look at this and like, okay, what was working, what wasn't? Maybe I didn't start with a good gesture, and so I could think about that. Maybe I want more of a like movement. So this is all because I'm drawing it from imagination. I'm not using reference. Now it's okay to use reference in the beginning, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea, for me anyway, of starting to solve problems with imagination. And anyway, once you start really complicated poses, like, oh, you got this person, they're doing like things that aren't in reference, you wouldn't find reference for it, then it's more like it makes sense to be training your imagination so that you're not reliant on reference. I think it's much better to just learn how to draw. I don't know. Did that answer it, or am I missing some point?
No, I don't think so, but this is a tie-in to some questions on your expressions video. Is there a huge advantage to using a mirror instead of taking pictures? What made you choose to use yourself as a live model instead of taking pictures?
What made me use myself is that I feel like I learn more, and I can do the in-between expressions. So, like, okay, I'm gonna be angry, and so I could do this, like an angry pose. I'm angry, right? But because I'm using...
They can't see your canvas. The chat can't see your canvas, apparently.
They can?
Mm-hmm. The screen is black. They're seeing off now.
Oh.
And they want to see the cat. Please introduce us to that beautiful cat behind you.
Oh, I know what I'm doing now. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing wrong. But first, look at Jeff. Everybody look at Jeff.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. Alright. Now they should be able to see it. Okay, so that was stupid because I was not showing what I was doing. Should I redo it? I should?
I thought it was a worthwhile explanation, but I was watching your screen, so I couldn't tell that. No, they're not seeing this.
Okay, so what was okay, so let me finish the expression thing first, and then I'll go back to the posing thing. So again, expressions. I'm angry. Okay, so what I can do because I have a mirror is this, like, I'm angry, but I'm more angry, and I'm less angry, and now I'm sad. I can change it, and, oh, I'm angry, but what's happening, let's say this part's in shadow, right? I can turn, right? Oh, okay, that's what's happening. I can tilt. It's like this really cool 3D program. It's very useful, having reference. Plus, even better, I can feel like where the tension is. Like it's here, and so when I draw it, I'm connected to it, right? It's not just, oh, I'm looking at a face and I'm copying proportions. It's tension, if that makes sense. And then the posing was just drawing pose of somebody from imagination. I can do more with it than if it's from reference, if I need reference. Because, okay, let's say I want this person doing this. Fine. Even finding reference for this might be hard, but you get good at whatever you do. So if I want to get good at drawing from reference, I'll draw from reference. I'm not saying never draw from reference, because that would be retarded. Or ridiculous, sorry. How do you get the visual memory? But I mean, after a while, it's useful to draw without it, so that you can do more crazy things.
But there are pitfalls to not using reference, right?
To not using reference? When you don't know what you're doing, yeah. And I think it's also a case of eventually, if you're really stuck, if I'm really stuck, I'll try and solve it as best as I can without reference. But then at some point, it makes sense to use reference if I'm really stuck. But I learned this from Cynics anyway, to just, because he didn't use reference, and he sort of just would keep working it until it looked right. And this is easier when you're drawing things digitally, I guess, because you can fool around with it. But I do the same with pen, and when things fail, like let's say this was failing, okay, so I start again. What was right and what was wrong? Maybe there wasn't a strong gesture, right? So, anyway, that is a thing. Next.
Okay, so if you try to remember something a while back, do your memories appear in images or feelings? Do you remember, for example, specific people or just their scent? This is on the visual memory, no visual memory, pointy chins.
What do you mean?
Like, I suppose you've told them that you have no visual memory. So what replaces it? How do you think while you draw? How do you conjure it? Because the result is visual. Your drawings are visual.
Right. I think a lot of it is that it just feels right. This is kind of how you draw, right, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
You rely on feeling a lot.
Yeah. A lot of it is just like feeling whether or not something works out, you know. If something doesn't feel right, I'll try something else. And if something does feel right, I'll keep it, or maybe I'll explore with it further, and exaggerate it, or do whatever with it.
Right. So I guess it's like the more you draw, the better you get at this. Because let's say there's a box like this, right? And this is my target of what I want to get in my head. But I don't have a visual library. So what I'll do is maybe I start and it's like, it's maybe a shape like this, and I'm not sure. And then the next time I'm like, what if I do it more like this? And then I start getting like a feeling like, yeah, this looks more like what's in my head. And then I do that, and then I think, oh, but there was something in the middle, I think, like a scribble like this, and do another one. And it's like, what was it? It's kind of like that. And it's like, yeah, but it was more like this. And it's just by feelings that eventually I go, oh, yeah, this is what it looks like. And then the next time, my intuition is getting built. So let's say I wanted to figure out a shape and it looks like this. Then I might go already like, it's kind of like this, but that looks wrong. Maybe one of them is a different size. Oh, wait, maybe it's the other way around. And, yeah, I've got it. So something like that is how it works for me. I don't know if that's helpful to other people or if it's just me, but that's how my brain works. But I think so much of this is what is helpful to me that I've figured out, but that's not what I'm trying to teach. That's not at all my point. My point is there are solutions when you think, I can do this or I can't do this, and then sometimes you think, I can't do it, therefore I won't do it. I'm not good with art, therefore I'm not going to continue. No, there's usually a workaround. There's usually something you could do to figure it out. And as long as you don't believe that it's a limitation, that no, there must be a way around it. That's all I'm trying to say is look for the ways around things. Don't just, assume that because you have a limitation, you have to be restricted by it.
But this you sort of solved with when we were doing the ribbons, the twisting and stuff.
Yeah.
You were able to think in 3D, like remember the planes behind it, remember?
Yeah.
That was very visual.
But it's also just building it in your head because that was really difficult. So what we're talking about is, I think it's 2 more episodes. 2 more episodes.
It's a preview.
Yeah, so this is a spoiler for the next Pointy Chins thing. But there's going to be a Pointy Chins episode where I figure out something. Well,
construction.
I didn't figure it out. You kind of helped me. But
you did figure it out because you weren't getting my vocabulary at first. It was very physics-based. Like torque and tension and whatever. So
let's just show. It's something. This is kind of a spoiler, but it's something like this. Like, okay, so how do you take a shape like this, and then, so let's say this is the shape. How do you twist it? So it's kind of like this, where it twists like that, and then this goes like this, and this goes like this, and like so. You see, this form is you've taken this and you twisted it. And this was very difficult for me, and it took a lot to be able to understand how to do this. So there's going to be a Pointy Chins episode where I do this, and this is why I feel like Pointy Chins is really good, because it's all about solving problems and how I go about solving problems, and it's not so much a step-by-step tutorial, but I don't think that's the best way to learn anyway.
I thought its best thing was showing the amount of work. Like, nobody gauges these things from just seeing an artist's finished work.
Yeah.
They just see maybe 1 or 2 sketches in between, just for the lulz, and we see maybe a handful, but nobody sees the actual, like, even when they go through sketchbooks, I noticed that there are videos on YouTube that go through sketchbooks, but not this extensively, not explaining why did they choose this.
And I wonder sometimes, like, when you see sketchbooks, because you see a lot of sketchbooks and they're really polished, and I sometimes feel like artists carry more than one sketchbook and only show one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one where they're really solving problems.
This is something teachers advise you to do. Even in one of, I think in one of Fengzu's videos, he says, oh, just do the sketchbook just for this purpose, to show it off. If clients want to see sketchbook, potential clients, just see sketches, see the progress, but have it polished, have it neat and tidy and stuff. And our teachers do this as well. Okay, so when you draw crickets, how do you keep the gesture? Is it just practice? I find it's easier to find and draw gestures if I use big motions.
Well, okay, so I guess, again, you're right. And that's exactly how I do it. So let's say I have a cricket, and first he's just, let's make it a guy. He's just standing, doing nothing. It's like, okay, now I want a gesture. What I'll do is I will start with the big movement.
They're saying we sound the same. I'm doing an impression of you.
Well,
yeah, you and everybody else.
You're not
so.
the first person to.
Yep.
This is terrible, but this is the idea. The cricket has the gesture, but then the thing is, after a while, you start to imagine that. Like, you've got to imagine that in your head, because with me anyway, I'm drawing in pen, so I can't afford to always start with a basic line. But it's like, okay, so this is. But it does get easier after you do more and more. And so, I don't know, I guess this was the point, is that, do it and just keep drawing, and you will build these things in your brain. But yeah, we do sound the same. I suppose I have found my other half. Anyway, okay.
Okay, so...
That's terrible. I'm ashamed of myself.
Well. Okay, so I know your advice for people that are trying to get good at something is to do it over and over again until you become good at it. But what if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again and you feel like you're not improving? Is there any advice you can give? Because I feel stuck and I feel like I'm not able to improve.
You keep making the same mistakes over and over again, but what do you mean by you keep it? Like, you've got to look at your work and analyze it as well. You're not just blindly doing this. So, let's say I wanted to draw something like this, right? And okay, that's what it looks like. That's a final image. Let's say it's some kind of weird boot. And okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm practicing it, and I do this. And okay, I make it more wrong. Okay, I do this. Okay, and then the next time I do this, and I'm like, I keep repeating this shape, but this shape doesn't exist here. That's a problem. You've got to draw this and then look at it. Like, look at having reference helps, but even without it, just look at it. Like, what is right and what is wrong? Like, ask yourself, well, okay, I think this needs to be more straight. So then your next attempt, okay, let me think of that, make that more straight. And then maybe I'll do this, and it's like, something's wrong about this. And so I look at this, and it's like, yeah, this is working, but something's wrong with that. Let me try making it more straight. It's this, you're thinking a lot. This is not a stupid, let me just do it blindly and just, in this case, it's like, oh, this is too low, this is a bit too wide. So it's like, okay, try this more like this. And sure, it's getting closer to this shape here, but you've got to be constantly asking yourself, what is working, what's not working? And hold yourself to a very high standard. The higher you hold yourself to a standard, the better you'll get, and the easier it will be next time. If your idea is good, okay, so it's kind of like if you're in school and you have 2 parents and 2 kids. I mean, you have 2 kids and they both have 2 parents. Ah! Anyway, okay. So you have 2 kids and they both have 2 parents. Okay, so one of the kids goes to school and he does the test and he gets 80%, and his parents pat him on the head, great job, you did 80%, that's great, you're doing great. And the kid is like, oh, okay, so 80% is really great. And then the other kid gets 80%, and his parents are like, oh, this is not that good. Where did you go wrong? What were you having trouble with? Well, you obviously didn't understand 20% of this material. Maybe you need to work on this. Maybe you need to study this. And then that kid studies that. Next test, the other kid gets like 81%, and he's like, the first kid, he's like, cool, even better. And then he shows his parents, whoa, yeah, that's great. Or 70%, oh, it's not that bad, but whatever. But then the other kid's like 90%, it's like, that's more like it. You're only 10% away. Then the other kid's going to improve because the standard he's trying to reach is much higher. And so when I do these things where I'm really trying to get a specific style and really care about the shape language, sure, you might say, why? What's the point? What is the point of doing all this? It seems unnecessary. It seems like, it's good enough. Do I want to be good enough? Do I just want to be an artist who is good enough? Because I've been this. It sucks, but I know what this feels like to be just good, just okay, just like, yeah, you're okay. We'll pay you an okay rate, and your pictures look okay. No one really cares. No one really likes them, but it's like, yeah, you're okay. I don't want to be that, and I realize I have to hold myself to a higher standard if I want to achieve what I really want to achieve. So.
But I think it's also misleading when you get this whole term of muscle memory.
What do you mean?
Because people keep harping on about muscle memory, muscle memory. Oh, don't just draw, just draw. They tend to focus on either imagination exclusively or work, do more iterations, but they don't say that you need to combine them. You need to do iterations and think about them, so the next iteration is going to be better by something, by an amount. It's not all just, because you're showing me that guy who is doing, like, copying things, and eventually they start bleeding into your own work.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help to just ram it.
Yeah, so this is the thing, that it's really important to be thinking a lot, to not hold, and this is especially true for students in a school. They
can't stop looking at your eyebrows.
My eyebrows? What is with my eyebrows? But anyway, yeah, when you're in school and you're studying and you're given an assignment, don't just go on autopilot. There's this thing that this is going to seem pretty ranty.
I'm your sister.
You're not. She's not my sister. We should put you on the screen and show how different you are.
No.
She's not my sister.
Let them think I'm brown. And let them think I have big eyebrows. And
she's not brown and she doesn't have big eyebrows. We look nothing alike.
Well, my picture's in the thing, in the Hangout, so I guess they could.
I suppose. That doesn't look like me, but anyway. Okay, rant. So, something that I feel is important is not to give up your responsibility. And sometimes I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't offend people. Because I don't mean to offend, I mean to, like, just bring this up, that there is a tendency for some people to want to shirk off responsibility. And so if you are self-taught, right, you are responsible for whether you succeed or not. It's up to you. And the internet has enough knowledge out there that you can become professional just based on the knowledge that is available online. Now, there's this thing of, oh, but I work better in a school environment. This is okay. I have no problem with this. I work better in a school environment. But be careful that you're not one of the people that thinks, I want to go to school because if I don't succeed, it's the school's fault. Because this is a big problem. sometimes I've seen a lot of people do this where they would rather, like, you give them all the resources, hey, this is all online. It's like, oh, yeah, but I need to go to school. Then they go to school and they do exactly what the teacher says, but just as much as the teacher says. And the teacher's like, well, you know, if you do this, you'll get a job. And they treat it that way. If I do these assignments, I will get a job. But usually they're not the ones that get the job. The ones that get the job are the ones that do the assignment, but never just stop at what the teacher's saying. They take responsibility for their actions, their education. It's like, I am going to do more. I'm going to study on my own. I'm going to do extra assignments because if I fail, it's on me. It's not on the school. It's not on a tutorial. It's not on you are only responsible for yourself, and I think it's really important to be someone who is responsible for yourself. Not use school, or it's true for relationships too. If you're in a relationship and it's not working, you can blame the other person, like, oh, it's because of them, blah, 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 but chances are, I mean, you're part of it too. So it's better to take your own responsibility for yourself. And sorry, I'm ranting.
They think somebody's moved the cat, but he's... Anyway, apparently the theory is that we are siblings, so I guess that's canon now.
Sleeping.
Okay, so...
We're Jaime and Cersei Lannister.
Okay, so there is someone who is asking exactly about this thing with fixing the drawings that you were talking about earlier, that it's easier to do it digitally. Is it better to fix it instead of drawing it anew? Is it okay to fix it fast so I can start a new drawing faster, or should I draw the part that I messed up new so I get my muscles to do the right movement? What would you say? Because you benefited from both. You benefited from switching to pen and then...
That's true. Yeah, it's kind of both work. I would suggest, with crickets, the smaller drawings, totally just do it again. It's not a problem because it's easy. It doesn't take long to do one. Might as well do another one. But let's say I was doing a complicated piece, a finished piece, which is kind of what I'm working on more now. I am going in and fixing it and making, I'm not just, let's start from scratch. Maybe it's not an entirely bad idea to do that, but I don't have that much time, so I'm not sure. There is a huge benefit to starting from scratch, though. There's something magical about doing it, even with a painting that you're invested in. Because I've had paintings where I've spent 5 or 6 hours, and it's okay, but parts of it aren't working, and I'm in fixing mode. And being in fixing mode, I could actually go like another 5 hours fixing it and changing it, but I will eventually I get to the point, and Bob and I have worked on images together where it's like, this is just polishing a turd, and we just scrap it, just restart. Forget everything, start fresh, and just boom, you start from scratch, and you find that it's really quick. Like in an hour, it's done. The whole thing, you're back to where you were before. But it's better. It's got life. It's got energy.
But is there a specific fear that made you keep polishing the turd in the first place?
Yeah, you're afraid you can't do it again. It's this fear of, oh, this was success. Yeah, this, especially the worst thing, the worst thing is when one part of the drawing's working. Like you have the big drawing, and like this, the eye is good. You got one eye good, and it's like, oh shoot, this eye is really, really good.
Have you seen my eye?
Yeah. Yeah, but like just the eye is good, and then you're like, I don't want to start over because I may never do that eye as good as that, and then so you're resistant. Just do it anyway. You're building on top of your things. You're getting more muscle memory and stuff. It's better than just being beholden. I might screw up.
I guess if you keep polishing the turd, you build on something as well, but it's your insecurity. You get more and more stuck in this thing. Yeah. I can't do it again.
You become a turd polisher.
It reinforces it.
Yeah. You become better at whatever you do. I'm good at polishing turds, hence I'm going to polish turds.
Helgen Warfare asks, do you think there's a minimum amount of hours one should practice?
A minimum amount of hours
I'm
one should
assuming they mean
practice?
a day. This
No.
has come up a lot in comments.
No, because everyone's different, but for myself there is. At least 1.5 to 3 hours every day is, I would say, on the very low end. It's like, yeah. But 1.5, no. Okay, it's not the amount of time, it's the quality of time that you put in. Because you can spend 3 hours just mindlessly rendering. Is it worth it? Are you getting something out of it? I don't know.
You have a peak, though. Like, if you do an hour, if you do a page a day, it's still, meh.
Yeah, so there's an amount of intense practice you can have that works. So for me, it's 1.5 hours before I get tired. Now, I can take a break, like even a 10, 20-minute break, and then I usually have more energy. But doing very intensive work really is draining. So it's important to do the intense work. Do work that will help you tomorrow and the day after and the day after. Something that I think is not a good idea is to get into this, I'm doing landscape study today, and tomorrow I'm doing portrait study, and then the next day I'm doing mix, and the next day I'm doing... It's like, you'll get okay at everything. Is that what you want to be? Do you want to be okay at everything?
Okay, so Adam Decoder commented on one of your videos, your art always throws me for a loop. Some drawings I think are amazing, and others look awful to me. It's strange. I usually don't see drastic swings in quality from one drawing to the next, but then again, most artists aren't so forthcoming with their sketchbooks. How has this been for you, sharing all this stuff, like warts and all, failures and all? Because you've done this, like, now you're doing it extensively, talking about it.
Well, it's not easy, but it's something that I wish I saw from artists that I liked. So unfortunately, you've got me instead of... But, like, I wish I could see, like, Joe Madureira, I wish I could see his long thought process, the way he took a shape and then mastered it, and what was it? What did it take to get to that point? So yeah, it's not comfortable, but I feel like I would want to see that, so I have to do it. I have to do it because maybe someone's like me. But the other thing about the inconsistencies, yeah, this has plagued me, and it's not just this. It's that I've had the time, I'm old enough to have seen so many people surpass me, and so sometimes you'll hear talk about talent, and there's this thing about, okay, does talent exist? Does it not? And in the beginning, there's a lot of people who will say, no, it doesn't exist. It's all about hard work, and it's because they've heard other people. Usually, it's because they've heard better people say that talent doesn't exist. It's all just hard work and how much effort you put in. Now, where that changes is when you're putting in a lot of hard work, and the people around you are putting in a lot of hard work, and they're just jumping leaps and bounds, and you're barely crawling. You're just making baby steps. And it feels like, why? What is this? And at first I was really beating myself up over this because I thought, I should be just as good as they are. How are they better than me? What am I missing? Maybe I just suck. Maybe I just don't have talent. And that's really, I don't know. I didn't want to believe that. But it is a case that some people have a visual memory that's very good. And they will really progress, and then you're just left watching them like, you're great now. Yeah, and I'm just here. And so for me, when I draw, I had this inconsistency that it really did feel like I am one of those people who, how can a person with my degree of inconsistency make it? Because it just didn't seem right, because other people didn't have that inconsistency. Maybe they wouldn't be as good on their good days, but they would be nowhere near as bad on their bad days. and it's like, okay, well, part of you sort of feels like maybe I'm just not cut out to be an artist, but then it's like, no, just think about what can you do to build your consistency. And in my case, it was repetition at a very basic level, just repeating stuff, doing it over and over and over and over and over again, doing the crickets and then doing another one, doing another one, doing another one, doing another one, until I'm building this thing that they have. Because sure, they do have an advantage in something, but I probably have an advantage in other things, and it's about maybe I'm stuck in the beginning stage. Like, they're going to beat me in the beginning, but maybe I'll catch up later on. I don't know if that answers anything.
It does, I think. When you said cynics could figure this out in one of your videos, would you say it's all right to have that kind of competition with someone so long as you don't make it a negative and only use it to remind yourself that you should be practicing more?
Yeah, because I like cynics, and as much as I make fun of him and he makes fun of me, I think we both like each other and respect each other. And I actually want him to succeed and do well, because it motivates me. It inspires me, like, oh, you're good, and I want to be good too. And same with Bob. Bob and I have this too, where he'll draw something and he'll make an improvement, and it's like, whoa, I'm really happy for him, and it's like, yeah, good job, you made it, you're doing it.
Anyways.
Yeah. You know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then on the flip side, it's motivating, because it's like, well, I want to get that good. I don't want to be much worse than him, and then I'll work really hard to get better. And then sometimes I get to a point where he thinks I'm better than him, and then it will motivate him. And I don't know.
Can you pull? Yeah. They're saying the cat is dead. Can you make him wake up, please?
The cat is not dead. It's just me.
He likes hearing your voice when you talk. Puts him to sleep.
But he's too tired.
Yeah, he's so tired.
He's like, oh, do I have to do this? Do I have...
Okay, so hang on. There was this question here. How do you think about grounding your figures?
Two ways. One is ground plane. One is this with the perspective. I think, okay, let's say you got your perspective grid. Now already, if I think about, perspective, then I draw a figure. They feel like they're occupying a space. So this guy's occupying a space, and then we're looking, like here, we're looking up at him, and then here we're still looking up. Here it's middle, and here we're looking down. So there, this figure is grounded because he's standing on a ground plane, because I drew this perspective grid. That's one way to go about it, and I think that's the best way. The other way is just pay attention to the feet. After a while, you get to see, you do this enough that you'll look at like this position of the feet, and it's like, okay, so that looks like this, and let's just say he's wearing boots. And then you can sort of just focus, even drawing the feet first, and then going up. Let's see. Something like this. Your figure can be grounded as well. But it's like, I think the better way is this way. Just think about perspective, because it's important for a lot of different things. Yeah.
But you had this issue lately where you were trying to ground them and trying to use perspective, and it was sort of taking away from the feeling.
Yeah. But I think it's growing pains. I think it's one of those things that you lose something, you gain something, and you lose something else.
So
what do you think? What do you
shouldn't
think?
be too attached to it.
What do you think?
I think you don't lose the progress you've gained, because from what I saw you learning stuff, your understanding improves. So you lose something, you lose the
a little bit,
the routine, sort of like the mechanical aspect, and then it disrupts the rest of your learning for a bit, and then you integrate it into your normal workflow.
Yeah.
Because you had this with the ribbons, and you had this with remember when we were talking about cohesion? Oh.
Yeah. 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 Like even with you, Bob, you've had this case where you get better before you get worse. I mean, you get worse before you get better.
Yeah.
Whenever
There's
you
definitely that.
Yeah, whenever you start a new thing, and like you were doing anatomy, and then your gesture got worse.
Yeah. Well, it's this thing with like whenever you practice something, you get really used to it, and then it becomes routine, and your muscles, like it's muscle memory. You get really used to it and stuff like that. But then when you stop doing it for a little while, the theory in your mind might still be the same, but your muscles aren't up to par with that anymore. So then when you draw something, you feel like, oh, I feel rusty. It's not as good as it anymore. It's that kind of thing.
So it's also allowing yourself to understand this is the process. Like, I'm studying perspective, my figures might get a bit more stiff. But then it's important to, okay, so
for a while.
Yeah, you do your perspective, you get better at your perspective, and then you remind yourself, okay, I'm okay at perspective now, let me bring back the gesture, because what am I missing? Oh, my gesture's gotten worse, my this has gotten worse, my that. No, let me take what I've learned from perspective and bring it into the gestures. So now both are getting improved.
I don't think you can damage your knowledge pool permanently or definitively unless you learn bad habits.
Yeah.
It's like even those can be fixed. Even those are like, they can be unlearned. It takes longer, but it's not permanent. It's not whatever. Candy King asks, do you listen to music while working?
Exclusively, I listen to music because I can't not.
And so how does this tie in with your... Because I figure it might tie in with your lack of visual memory and how you need to isolate yourself to draw upon.
Yeah, I think so much is understanding your brain and how you work. And for me, because other people are exactly the opposite. They cannot have music. Music is distracting. And like with Bob, I can talk to you anyway, Bob, but you listen to audiobooks and stuff, right?
Yeah. For me, I need some sort of background chatter, just so it's like, And then what I find is that when I have that, it makes me use my right brain more. Like my right brain becomes more active, and then I just fall into this mode of intuition and feeling. And I think that's something that's also to be really aware of, like whether or not you're more proficient right brain, the left brain, or anywhere in between.
Yeah. So for me, I'm completely different than Bob, because if I hear talking, I cannot focus on drawing. I will focus on whatever they're saying. So I need to listen to music, but I need to listen to music that I've already heard a bunch of times before. So what it seems to do is it occupies my left. Because left brain, right brain. If you want to talk about how it's not left brain, it's not right brain, your brain uses both sides in every task, fine. But the thing is, this idea, this left brain, right brain thing, it holds up pretty well in terms of just using it as an analogy for how things are. It really is like you have a creative part. Maybe it's both sides of the brain working, but it's a creative part and a more...
And I think it's more like the Gestalt approach versus the broken down approach. Like, the whole is more than the sum of its parts. Sometimes you use that. I saw Bob uses that a lot in his... every time he tries to break it down, there will be one or two steps where he will be wonky. Yeah, he will be wonky. But then when he stops thinking of it and that, I need to do this part and I need to draw this muscle, and then he just draws an arm.
Yeah.
It's like,
So you have to know how you work, and for me, it's like the left brain, the part that analyzes, that is always thinking, okay, what am I doing? How long is this? What is this muscle name? This is the deltoid. This is the tricep. This is the bicep, brachialis, whatever. That part I need to shut off a little bit, and I need to just zone out. And so music helps occupy my left brain. I feel what it's doing is it's saying, hey, left brain, you know how you want to analyze stuff? No, I want to analyze stuff. Well, look over here. Here, what is that? It's music. You like music? Oh, yeah, music. Okay. And then the right brain's like, all right, yeah, draw now.
Okay, Travis asks a question. What are the bad habits? So, for example, one could make a checklist to see if one has been developing them, the bad habits.
The bad habit. What do you think they are?
I don't know. I'm probably doing a bunch of them.
I think bad habits are things like, you know, it's weird. It's not so much like a bad habit in terms of you're holding your pencil wrong, or because the people do this where they don't hold things in a way that's good for them. But it's more. I think bad habits that are really detrimental tend to be things like being afraid of failure. Instead of trying, you will get too preoccupied with success. I think that's a bad habit. If you're afraid of experimenting, try experimenting. Make your habit experimenting. Make it okay for you. Make it a habit to draw every day as well. If your habit is to get discouraged and not draw, that's a bad habit, I would say. Do you need another prompt soon, Bob? Or
almost done.
Okay. Let me know when you're done. Or well, you have this. You have the prompts. Right?
Okay. Fictional One commented, could you explain more about what a shape language is? Because you use these terms a lot, but you don't detail them as much.
Okay. I'll try to explain shape language. So, so you've got some basic shapes. You got your circles. You got your triangles. You got your squares. Now, in reality, all these are used, right? But when you're trying to find a shape language, you're kind of finding. So let's say I have a face, and I'm just going to draw it fairly realistically, and I'll try to avoid giving it a pointy chin. Okay, so this is, let's say, sort of a generic face, and okay, so right now it is kind of flat, but I could build this on a circle. So I could have the head as the cranium represented by a circle. I could have the torso represented by an oval, and the shoulders are circles, and you've got some cylinders. Now this is a very round shape language. The shapes you are using to build on are very round, but you could also have a more blocky shape language where you're thinking of things more like blocks of perspective that you build on, and everything gets a bit more blocky. You see the round cranium, maybe it's a bit more blocky like this. And this is naturally Bob's, so let's look at Bob's stuff. This can be weird, but you can look at his stuff and you can see, like in the horse's face, notice how many straights there are. You have some rounds in the clouds, but in the horse's face, it's blocky. You have a sort of a blocky feel to it. Look at how the shadows are. Note how there's the light and the shadow parts, and they're in blocks. This is a very blocky shape language. So going back to this, it would be something like this. This is getting more blocky. It's more built on squares. It's a bit more structural. And after you draw quite a bit, you might notice that you are favoring, because in reality, there's blocky, you have both, or all three, you have all of these shapes, but you might notice, like, okay, well, I draw a torso, and it's blocky, but when I think of the pelvis and the torso and everything, it feels like there's like a bigger shape, and it's almost like this shape. You take this shape, and it's like, okay, it's blocky, but it's sort of bean-like. And the same thing with the circly guy. He might be drawing his circle things, his ovals, and he's drawing a thing, and he's like, yeah, you have the circle for the rib cage, and you have a circle for the pelvis, and I've got this kind of thing combining. It's like, you know what? I see this shape, and this is a bean shape. It's very prevalent in a lot of styles. You look at a face in 3/4, right? You see sort of like a bean shape appear. You could imagine this type of bean shape. So this is a shape, but it's a round bean or it's a blocky bean. This is now your shape language. It's which shape you're using to talk about to describe your thing. So when I think of a sharp shape language, I think of, like, if I'm drawing a bean, it's more sharp. It's more got like these shapes. as opposed to a more round shape language. Now, round things tend to be softer and cuter, so let's say I was doing a cute style, maybe I really would be going for more circles. Everything is circles. You look at like Disney stuff, and it's like a lot of circles, and something like this. You got your cute little ears, and your circly eyes, your nose, everything's like, yay. And the thing is, once you've developed one shape language, it's not that hard to go to other shape languages. But this one, yeah, see, it's much more round and cute. So that's a shape language built off very curvy shapes, very soft shapes. If you look at chibi characters, they've got their own shape language because their proportions are so weird. Like this is their body, and these are their legs. So here you've got a case. But what I find people don't do enough is like, okay, so you've got this shape language. You maybe don't even need a nose. But I would apply this to everything. So you've got a tree. Okay, well, if it's a chibi tree, you've got like a big top part and then a little bottom part. And it's like, oh, this is a cute tree, you know? And your little chibi character, 2 heads tall here. Yay. And this is what's important to me, is to bring this kind of consistency into things and not just have what I see in anime, which is like, oh, you've got your anime character and they're doing whatever, and they're all anime and cool, and then the things around are very realistic. And it's like, you've got this figure that is so pushed, why don't you push everything around in the same way? And that's why I really like Triplets of Belleville, because like Triplets of Belleville, they have characters that are really, you know, like they'll be pushed. Like, let's say this is a guy's face, and it's like, okay, you've got this really cool shape going on. But what they'll do is then, oh, you have a boat. Well, it's not going to be a boat like this if it's a really epic boat. What they'll do is like they'll really push it, so it's like this type of shape, where you have the boat and you've got the anchor, and it's really pushed. So, I don't know. Or maybe these smokestacks are more skinny and really tall. So this to me is a very, I don't know. I'm not sure if this explains exactly what shape language is, because it's something that the more you do it, the more it makes sense.
There's also impressions you're trying to get, though. Because I noticed, like, when you use the circly things, it evokes a certain mood. It gives a certain impression to the viewer.
Yeah, so with me, I really like cool things. I like fast things, things that can cut you. I like swords, or like sharp stuff. So it makes sense for me to have a sharp style. The things I tend to have. Look at my hair, it's pointy, because I like pointy things. I like stuff.
I guess that's why you're beginning to grow a thicker skin once you develop your style. At least if people don't like it, they don't like it because of
they don't like it because of it's not their taste, but it doesn't mean my skill is bad. Maybe some people do think that. There's a lot of people who might very well think, you suck, you can't do this other stuff, and this guy's better, and he renders, and you don't. Okay.
You're one of them at times. You do this. Oh, I suck. This guy's better. Oh.
Maybe. But, okay.
Okay, so Mizzy Abbas asked, what does directionless mean? No storytelling or no proper aim or goal?
I think no proper aim or goal. No storytelling is its own thing. Because I don't have much story in my work right now. But the reason is I'm breaking it down. I'm breaking it down to what is important to me. I need to gain proportion. Before anything else, I need to learn how to draw. So proportions are the foundation thing. Now, there's two parts to art. There's art in terms of the skill, right? This is the art. This is how well I do it. But there's art in terms of the idea. this is the end result. This is what I want to tell. Art, in the end, is just a language. You're using this to communicate something. Okay, so I want to communicate something cool. I need a cool style. I need to focus on my art. But I think that so storytelling is super important, but I don't think I can jump the gun and do this yet, because what I want to do is have this very strong, in my opinion, cool style. So I'm working on this first. It's like I'm working on the figure nude before I work on drawing the figure with clothes, because clothing and drapery is more. You're adding more, and then environments and all these other things. I'm doing it in steps. So storytelling will come, but directionless to me is I don't know even if I want to do realism. I don't know if I want to do manga. I don't know if I want to do character design or concept art. This to me is very directionless.
So how did you dig yourself out of that, or how would somebody else? Because I know you did.
I tried to think of what I liked when I was a kid. What did I want to be? What kind of work do I like? And not just, there's this really important thing is, there's a big difference between what you like and what you admire. There are a lot of artists I admire. I admire their technical skill. I admire how, I don't know, the way they did something. So, let's see. I don't know if this is going to be good. This is going to be a bit weird, because it will be. And,
Hey, Will Terrell showed up.
Will Terrell showed up? Hello, Will. Hello, Will Terrell. You are Will Terrell. Well, who else would I be? Okay. So, this is going to be a bit weird, but let me do it anyway. Here is one of my heroes. He is Craig Mullins. His work is, to me, amazing and beautiful and great storytelling. Let's look at this piece, for example. Awesome. It's cool. It's got great energy. But do I like it or do I admire it? I actually think I admire this piece more than I like it. And this, too. It's a dragon above this thing. It's like beautiful. You captured the feeling. Your skill is so good that you can capture things you want to capture. And it's just, to me, it's gorgeous. Like the life. You're walking in on a scene. But do I like it as personal taste? When I was really young, would I have looked at this and what would I have seen? When I was really young, I probably just would have thought, oh, it's a guy and he shot all these people and now he's all sad about it and that's it. I wouldn't have thought, look at the lighting, look at the drama, look at how he's masterfully got all these brushstrokes. Look at this. It looks like something, but it's nothing. Like, it's just noise in the end, but you zoom out and it's like, whoa, cool, there's a whole bunch of activity. Well, this is impressive to me on a very technical level. I admire it, but do I like it? Well, I don't know. It's not as cool as, I mean, it's really freaking cool, but it's not matching what is my personal taste.
So if
things.
you had his skill, you would do something else with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's, yay! You're helpful. If I had his skill, I would be doing something else. Pretty much that's it. I admire his work, but I don't like it. Whereas opposed to, there might be some artists that I look at his work and maybe it's not that well done, but it's like, oh, that's what I like. If I wish I would do that, but with more skill. And so to me, that's what I like as opposed to what I admire. And it's important to focus on what you like, not just what you admire. But what you admire, of course, learn from it. Pick up what you can get from it.
I guess over time you develop a lot of these layers of piled up stuff. Like, oh, this is good, I need this. This is good, I need this. And you kind of forget, because that's what happened with you. You kind of forget what you wanted to do in the first place. That's how you end up directionless. So what your society expects you to do with art, or what's appropriate, what makes money, what's chasing after foreign goals.
And I had to go way back to get to the answer of this. I had to go all the way back to when I was a kid because I couldn't make the difference between admiration and what I liked. It just seemed like the same thing. It's like, well, I like the values, I think it's awesome, therefore I like it. It's the same thing. But when I was a kid, I wasn't like that. I just looked at things and like, that's cool, that's not. I remember when I was young, I looked at pictures of Bugaro, and he had done these angels, and they were just like cupids or whatever. And they had the wings, and they were all chubby, and I thought, that's lame, that sucks. Naked babies floating around with wings. I don't care. And then later on, I started appreciating his skill, and I was growing and stuff. And I looked at these angels like, whoa! Look at how he's rendered, and the anatomy, and the gesture, and the lighting, and everything is so great. These are amazing, super wonderful, cool, awesome, great. So I had to go when I was young enough that I wasn't judging it based on the skill, the technique. I was judging it based on just what it was.
So this ties into sort of who are you feeling responsible towards? Is it not disappointing your parents or not disappointing your inner child? Or it's like a lot of people fear taking this leap. It's like, oh, what if I want to do manga for a living? Like taking that chance for what? For yourself. If you fail, you've disappointed yourself, and that's a big fall. That's a big fucking
And the
fall.
thing that's scary is some people are willing to easily make this decision. I would rather disappoint myself than disappoint others around me.
Yeah, that goes.
And I think I was probably doing this for a while as well because I didn't believe in myself.
It showed. Like,
Yeah.
why did you jump from one thing to another? Why so much chasing after things? Why so much outside influence? And when you strip all of that away, what remains? Oh, I want to do cool things. I want to do things.
Mind you, I was interested. It wasn't that I wasn't interested.
Yeah, but there's a difference between interest and passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're interested. You're interested in knowing about physics or programming. But would you do that? Would you seek that out for yourself? What's the satisfaction? The level of satisfaction you're getting from these.
Yeah.
People pick up on this. So Space Cookie asks, what would be your advice for a late starter artist over the age of 25 who never did art before and never drew as a child?
This is exactly what my pointy chins thing is. I did 2 videos, how to practice drawing, and now my pointy chins. So there are people who do, I'm sorry, I looked at Bob's image.
Your inner child, disappointing your inner child.
So, okay, so what was the question? Oh, a late bloomer. A late bloomer. Okay, so there's this thing of someone left a comment something about when are you gonna do a useful tutorial?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay. Well, do you want to get to it now?
Sure. If it ties in.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Sure.
Yeah. So do you want to read it or?
Yeah. Let me find it.
The thing is,
how many months ago did you upload an actually interesting and useful video that wasn't full of false modesty and self-absorbed biographical nonsense that no one wants to hear? You realize the only thing of value you produce are your how to draw videos, right? How about you do at least one of those per year?
Yeah, well, so it's annoying how much these stupid negative, I shouldn't say stupid because you're not stupid, you're just saying stupid things.
It's short-sighted, not stupid.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's like, okay, I think what I'm doing now is actually much better than all my videos that I used to do before. Because a how to draw video is teaching you what? One technique, right? This is how to do this. It's sort of like that expression, give a man, give a man a fish and feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you fed him for his life. And for the feminists, teach a woman to fish or anything.
Teach a woman to fish and she'll find a man to fish for her.
Ouch. Anyway.
And sunbathe.
Jesus. God damn it, Joe. I mean, okay,
these will derail.
What was my point though? Do you remember it?
Teach a man to fit. You're not just trying to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, I think this is it. I'm teaching you how to improve really quickly is by doing quick, like experiments. Do things over and over and over again. Take something that you're weak at. Maybe it's just drawing a circle. You can't draw a circle well. Do it over and over and over and over and over until you can draw it well. Move on to the next thing. Constantly analyze, constantly assess. Is this getting better or is it getting worse? Is my circle now better than the circle I did before, or is it getting worse? Why is it getting worse? Why is it getting better? Keep asking yourself these questions, but this is how you improve. So for me, I could say, you know, it might look like I'm doing the same thing over and over again, but look at my progress from a few months ago and now, even within the Pointy Chin series. Look in the beginning. I am completely lost, I'm doing these things, and then I start doing this, oh, I have a shape language I'm trying to find, and I'm going through the motions, and I feel like what I'm showing you is you need to be drawing a lot. If you want to get good, you need to draw a lot. It's not just, oh, I learned the foundations. So, you learn the foundations, you can't even do it, right? Like, really, it comes down to it this way, because when people say, oh, Feng Zhu, they always go back to Feng Zhu, but Feng Zhu said learn the foundations. It's like, it's not like I didn't learn that stuff. Maybe not to that level, but even in his school, when he says learn the foundations, he says, I don't teach the foundations on my videos, and in my school, I think he says, what, 3 months he spends just on perspective? So think about that. Every day, 3 months, just on perspective. That's doing repetition over and over again. So what we're talking about is actually the same thing. It's just this is how you do it. First of all, understand you can do it. This is possible. Second of all, do this a lot and think a lot, and you'll succeed. This is much better than a how to draw a nose. Now I can draw a nose. Cool. And you can draw a nose. But I can draw almost, I don't want to say anything, but give me a little bit of time, and yeah, I think I can. Now, because I've drawn enough, I've gotten past a certain point. And this is what I want to encourage people to do, is don't be afraid of, because you look at a step-by-step video, and it's like, hey, at the end, I've got this cool drawing because I followed the step-by-step video. Cool. Can you do it again? Can you do it from imagination? Can you turn that form? Do you own this knowledge, or are you borrowing this knowledge from somebody else? It's a big difference. When you own it, it's so much more rewarding, but it takes a lot more time. But it doesn't take that much time, you know? Like, this Pointy Chin's process, I could imagine, it's not even been a year yet, and I've improved so much. So in 2 years, I'll probably be pretty decent. And time will tell, right? Because I'm in front of you. I'm doing this live. If I fail, if my Pointy Chins doesn't work, and I don't end up with a cool style, and I can't draw anything, and it's not really cool, hey, you've seen it. So even then, I've taught you something. I've taught you what not to do. Don't be like me.
And this is more like for people who don't see their progress, but how would you deal with this? Because you have your thing, your analysis. It applies to your own drawings as well. Like, oh, I look at this thing from a few months ago and I see this improvement and that improvement. But for other people, like myself and Bob, this is not the case. Oh, it's the same thing. I don't see improvement. How would you deal with that?
What do you mean? What do you?
If you don't see improvement, say somebody was doing this and they were looking at the drawings.
Ask someone else. Find someone you can trust who has a good eye, who maybe you can ask. And then the other thing is trust in the process. Like, if I didn't have that, I've told myself enough that you will be improving even if you don't see it. Just trust it. And after enough time, you probably will see it. Or if you're constantly posting stuff, let's say I'm posting on DeviantArt or any other forum, you'll tell based on how many comments you're getting, how much positive feedback you're getting that, hey, I'm actually doing something people care about, people like, this is interesting. Bob was doing this with his screaming faces, where, Bob, you used to look down on your screaming faces.
Yeah. My screaming faces didn't really mean anything to me. I just thought, like, because, like, I drew them so, I suppose, effortlessly. Like, it was just a thing. Just like, I don't even think about it. I just draw it. And then because of that, I didn't think that it was anything to be proud of, because, like, I didn't feel as though I acquired it through difficulty. And then, yeah, I just didn't think it was anything special. But apparently I was wrong, because everybody loves it.
Well, I think I've seen you guys make this mistake. Well, mistake. I see it as a mistake. It's like you only equate worth with effort put in. It's like if it's hard, it means something. If it's not hard,
yeah.
It's a bad thing to get caught up in because like you could have something very good. It's sort of like I remember there was this one time we were looking at like Miyazaki drawing something, and he was doing it so effortlessly, and then it's like, and then you told me that it was like that was a sign of like just how good he is because he was able to do something so easily and makes it look so easy, and then it's just like anybody that actually has difficult drawing it is like they might think it's good, but it's just like no, you're clearly having difficulty with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it shows, and even the thing that sucks though is with me, I'm getting more positive comments like, "Oh, good, you're finally doing something that looks good." I forget who said it, and I'm sorry, I forgot.
A bunch of people say this.
But they've said something like, for the first time, like I liked your tutorials, but it's the first time I'm starting to like your art, and it's like, well, that's really nice. But at the same time, you also get the negatives. The negatives grow even stronger, where it's like, oh, you suck. You're going down the wrong direction.
Yeah, you will read 10 good comments, and the one that sticks is the one negative stuff.
Yeah.
That, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Fiddles with your insecurities. And I guess this is an important thing to learn from the pointy chins things. Like, keep doing it in spite of your insecurities. Grow a thicker skin.
Yeah.
So you'll be better for it.
Yep.
Just because something's hard, doesn't necessarily. I mean, just because something's easy doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Yeah. And it doesn't. And no one's saying it's easy, therefore stick to what's easy and only stay in your comfort zone. That's another thing. That's like, no, that's not true. But it means don't disregard it either, because that's also wrong. Like, both are completely dismissing something that is real. It's reality. Why would you dismiss reality?
Okay, this girl commented on one of your videos. I've got a question for you. Is it bad to have an anime style? I love drawing on anime, and that's the style that really appeals to me, but I feel like that won't get me anywhere as an artist, and I won't grow.
Anywhere as an artist, or anywhere in a... Like, this is the thing. The industry isn't the world. So many times I encounter this thing, especially from my vantage point, I see this thing of, there's the industry. What does that mean? In LA, in even places like Vancouver or Montreal, there's studios, video game studios and movie studios, and this is considered the industry. This is what matters. If you are drawing anime, you won't get a job in the industry. Does it mean you won't get a job, period? No. Here's the thing. If you are good, if you are really good, you could draw anything, and you will have an audience, and you will have enough people who will want to give you money. Like, do this more. We like this. Because you are so good at it, you are so passionate, you're speaking with your true voice. But it's also true, sure, the industry may not care about you, but that's not all there is in the world. So for me, my pointy chin style doesn't mean I'm going to start working for movies. Why? Why would they hire me? No. But does it mean there's nothing out there for me? No. The world is big, the internet is huge.
Yeah, but those are big shoes to fill, like, if you're good. Do you remember the Pixiv people? We were looking through them, and it's like endless rows and rows of the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
These people spend all their energy and most of their life getting good at something that is just like, oh, you draw like the next guy. You want to be like the next guy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's sort of like, oh, if you're good, that sounds encouraging, but they don't see all the work that's involved in getting really good.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a chance. It's a gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I am doing busts in clay. It's kind of interesting to actually feel the features and play around with them physically. Have you ever considered doing that?
Busts in clay?
3D. There's a person who is...
Yes, I have. And I don't know. I think it's good. It helps, but... Is there a but? Maybe there's no buts. It helps, it's good.
It's good. For me, it's good.
Yeah. I think, yeah,
you don't
sure.
think, you don't share the same. That's why I thought it was an interesting question. It's for somebody who doesn't go to visuals as a thing in itself, go to tactile things.
Yeah.
It's a different branch.
This is what we were talking about before, by the way, with Pixar, like, whatever. Like, see, it's just a lot of the same stuff over and over. It's all really, really good. And the same is true with DrawCrowd and stuff like that, where you look at it and it's amazing, but there's just like, I think there's really something for finding your own voice. But once you find it, you probably will be okay. But you have to get really, really, really good. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Just the drawing, the horse drawing is yeah. He
The
looks
horse
so happy.
drawing is amazing.
Yeah.
What horse
Okay,
drawing?
so
Your horse drawing!
Okay.
he just looks so happy in the child, so confused.
No. I'm sorry if we're upsetting anybody with the content of our things, but I am a huge fan of Bob Meatbag. And I don't know.
Okay, you seem embarrassed about how many tits you draw.
How many what I draw?
Tits.
What?
Tits. Boobs, dear. Boobs.
Am I embarrassed about how many boobs I draw?
Oh, I don't know. Somebody commented on your pointy chins with sexualization and objectification versus, females are objectified, but men are idealized. All that. All that.
Am I embarrassed about how many boobs do I seem embarrassed? No. Because I could care less. It's like, okay, let's say there are these people, they're really good at drawing stuff that I don't care for. But they're really good and they're into it. And I'll find an example. I will find an example of someone who is doing this, and it may be, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not to point these people out, but let's see. So. Okay. So here we go. This is an artist, Uni, on DeviantArt, and this artist likes to draw contortionists, and they do them very well. And most of their people are feminized males and sexualized males. Now, do I like the things in terms of subject matter? It's not my taste. Would I ever say, don't do this? No. I think it's great. You like doing this. Do this. This is your thing. Get really good. Well, they are really, really, really good at what they do. But it's not my thing. But do I care? No. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they have found something that they like. I think it would be wonderful if everyone could just draw what they like and not have to feel ashamed about it. And for me, I draw lots of girls with breasts, sure, but I also draw lots of girls with arms. I draw lots of girls with legs. I draw lots of girls with elbows and knees and necks. And I draw really long necks.
And with chins.
With pointy chins, no less. And I haven't really encountered the same amount of, you draw necks so large the head would snap them. This is an unrealistic portrayal of the neck. The human neck can only support so much weight. You are exploiting women and stuff, and it's like, well, it's just part of the design. And I draw like girls with big boobs, and I draw girls with small boobs, and I draw girls with medium-sized boobs, and I draw guys, and I draw guys with big pecs, and I draw guys with small pecs, and it's like, sure, I draw girls more because I like drawing girls more. But is that a crime? Is it a crime? Let's say I like drawing My Little Pony, and not just that. I didn't just like My Little Pony. I like drawing sexualized My Little Pony vor, where it's just throats and you see the pony and another example. And what are you talking about? What's it called?
Yes?
Okay.
Are you sure this is safe?
Okay. Okay. Okay, so...
The laugh of inappropriateness.
Okay, so let's say this is what I liked. I liked sexualized My Little Ponies that are having little ponies coming out of their mouth, little seahorse ponies, and you know what? So that's what I like. Do it. I'm really happy when people draw what they're like, because you know what? It's not hurting anybody when it's an art form. And sure, it does in some cases. Like one could say the recent things with the Charlie Hebdo things, like it was hurting certain people for their religious sensibilities. Fine, but guess what? You don't have to watch it. It would be much more different if people strapped you into a chair and they held your eyes open and then they put the pony throats in your eyes and you had to, but no one's doing that. So who cares? Like, what's it to you? Why obsess over what you don't even care about? Because do you care? Do you care about someone drawing something you're not interested in? Why would you spend time harping on someone doing something they're interested in? They are happy. They like what they're doing. Why would you think that's a bad thing? Why wouldn't you focus on what you like to do? Why would you say there are no women in video games instead of trying to create video games as a woman, doing games that you like, that you would want to see? Why don't you want to promote things? It's like the Pointy Chin thing. I like that. I want to see people's process. No one's doing it. Let me do it. I want to be doing what I want to see so that it exists. And fine. I don't like looking at my own work that much. Now I do. I kind of like it. Good. But it's a case of who cares if someone does something that they like? You should be happy for it. No, you shouldn't. I don't care. No one should do anything. I'm happy for people who are pursuing their passion. If I saw someone who really liked drawing girls' boobs, good for you. If it was something that I really didn't like, and let's say it was a guy or a girl who was really, really good at drawing males' testicles, and just amazing testicles, and they had the specular highlights, and it was all sweaty, and it was perfectly sweaty, and the hairs were coming out, and they tugged at the skin just the right way, and epic curls, and all this stuff, right? So they like it. I don't. Guess what? I'm not going to look at it. But would I say, oh, hey, you suck, you draw men's balls. Why? Clearly they know they're drawing that. They're not just like, oh man, you're right. You know, I had no idea I was drawing balls. I thought I was drawing eyeballs. Oh. And I typed in balls in reference, and Google gave me these, so I prayed.
Well, I guess the bottom line is, all this time you're spending bitching about somebody else's drawing balls. You're not spending working on your own art or on your minding your own life and whatever. So
what do you like?
With the whole thing about, oh yeah, sure, you're furthering the cause of feminism and drawing attention to how women are objectified.
Yeah, it's so unfair. It's so
but
unfair.
The truth is, you're sitting at home in your chair in front of the computer typing to other people, so you would
part
hear
of the problem.
Yourself.
Yeah.
You make sure you're active, but really, what's in your browser history? Really, what's in your folders of saved things? Like, yeah, right, sure. And these things about girls being so into their own. Oh yeah, we're so misjudged. We're so mistreated. We're so. You're irresponsible. You want to discard responsibility. You just want to shrug it off and say, oh yeah, the world is so unfair. No, the world is not unfair. You have a voice. You have free access to speech and channels and whatever. You just do nothing with it. You go to universities. You hold lectures about how you're so mistreated and so. Oh,
well, if you're in North Korea, the world is unfair for you.
Well, sure, if you're in North Korea.
Yeah, but if you have access to a platform to bitch about it, come on.
You have a voice. You have a voice. You have something to build on.
People are, yeah.
It's like, oh, women are misrepresented in games, so make your own fucking games.
Yeah.
Who's stopping you about making a good game? Because the thing is, what they really fear is making shitty games. Oh, we can't do it. There is no such thing. But sitting and bitching and whining about it, sure, that's
yeah, and it's like, oh, first of all, there's plenty of girls in the industry making games that they don't mind or whatever, but it's like
I don't mind the booby, sweaty, whatever chicks. I like them. They're fun to watch, and there's a bunch of ladies playing, for example, WoW or whatever MMO. It's like, no, I want to think that I look like this. I want to see this pretty girl being my character. So what's wrong with that? It's like, oh, skimpy armor, whatever. Yeah, sure, it's retarded. I'll give him that. It's retarded. It looks retarded. It looks.
But the other thing, like, okay, so why would you petition the people who are creating the stuff you don't like to create the stuff that you like? Like, how conceited is that? How, like, it would be like me going to the person drawing the pictures of the balls and being like, hey, you're really good at drawing balls. Can you draw some boobs instead?
Because
I like
you're
boobs.
really raining on their parade. Because they're doing games they like.
Yeah.
It's like, because they like it, so we're retarded. We fap to this. Sure, do the things you fap to at home. Do it.
Do the things you fap to at home.
I guess.
And if you do not fap?
If you do not fap, well, continue bitching.
If you do not fap, stick it up your ass.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sorry.
And this isn't the uncensored channel, but I'm probably going to lose all my subscribers now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I told you this would be bad.
It's not bad. I'm secretly happy. I'm not secretly, because I've just said it. I'm happy.
Says he in public.
Yes, indeed. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm apologizing, but I've got an opinion.
Heaven forbid we ever have an opinion.
I have an opinion. I'm not just creating art tutorials that I do to make money because people would like to see step-by-steps and get the quick feel-good thing of, hey, I drew this.
Well,
instead, I would like
it would be sort of hypocritical for me to comment on that, because I got help from them. I was watching your tutorials.
No, that's not step-by-step, though. I don't think I ever did step-by-step.
That's the thing. I guess that's why I was drawn to these things, because it's not okay, what does this do for me? When I look at pictures, it's like, okay, how can I use this picture? How can I use this tutorial to integrate it in my own workflow?
Yeah. And maybe, like, it's good for confidence building, but again, it depends what you want to be, and I guess for my channel, I've always said I make videos for a younger me, so I am trying to give myself what I feel I didn't have access to. And what I wanted is to be a successful professional artist. I didn't want to be a hobby person on the side, but I think that's still good. But even if I wanted to be a hobbyist, I like learning the basics and the foundations and stuff. I don't just want to memorize a small thing and, hey, I can do this character in this pose really well and nothing else, because that's not interesting to me. I understand that it's interesting to other people, but it's the same thing as do what you want to do, and hopefully you'll see what you want to see in the world. Okay.
Okay. Sycra said the industry isn't everything. Does this mean you can make a living out of doing work for private people? I thought it would be impossible to live from doing art for private people only.
Artgerm does his own thing. Loish does their own thing. They also end up working in the industry at times, but it's like, it's not only that. You might not make as much money, though. I would say that's completely legitimate. You might not make as much money. But, okay, let's say you made more money. What are you going to do? Because I always find this really strange, as if it's an either-or. It's like, okay, so let's say I really enjoy drawing. All I want to do is draw. And what do I want to draw? I want to draw what I want. Cool. Okay, so I want to draw what I want, and so I should make a lot of money. Why? So I can get a fancy car and a big house and all this stuff. Why? So I can draw what I want. What? Think of it this way. If you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing? That is what you really care about. So I would be doing mostly what I'm doing. Maybe a little bit more or less, but in general I would be doing what I'm doing. So it's like, that's what's important, and that's what I want to do. So hey, you're doing things maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. because I feel it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's not my place to say, because I could also understand someone who was saying, "Well, I have a kid and family and stuff, and I need to make enough for that, and my dream is to have a family and to have all these things." And yeah, that's fair enough. So then, in that case, I suppose you would want to appeal to a larger audience, but I think there is an audience. It's just a matter of skill. Like, if you're good enough, you'll be noticed. Because there are artists that are doing really, really obscure stuff, really strange, and they are making a living out of it. Think of it also as a businessman or an entrepreneur or business person. I shouldn't say businessman. But what do they have to do to get success? It's not just going to be your art. It's never just your art. I really like Kim Jong-gi, for instance. I always talk about him, how much I like him. But he's famous because of his manager. He has someone out there promoting him. He has someone out there who is encouraging him to be seen, make the books, do the things, go to the events, arrange it. There are people helping him do things that he can't do. But it's because he's so good at what he does that people would want to do that. Because I don't think it's bad. I don't blame his manager. I wouldn't say that, well, his manager is just exploiting the fact that he's not good and he's picking a guy so he can, I don't know, make money off him. It's like, no, this person is necessary because I respect his manager just as much as I respect him, because without his manager, I wouldn't be seeing his work. So it's good. Anything else?
No, not for now. Like,
are we winding down? How long have we been going for?
An hour and a half. Dear.
An hour and a half. Ooh. How's your drawing, Bob?
You can take a look at it if you want.
Yeah, I'm curious as to your opinion of it.
Oh, what do I think of my drawing?
Like, are you almost done? I don't know.
This image is finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna find another prompt?
Oh, if there are any.
Okay. Do you want to do one more prompt and then we'll call it? Maybe we'll end in 30 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Well, Danny San is asking, art college will make you successful in the art industry.
Nope.
Two artists equal amount of skill are applying to the same job. One has a degree and the other doesn't.
Equal amount of skill?
Because you were talking
what
about
do you think,
connections.
Bob? Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say the degree doesn't factor in at all. Like, I've heard this from so many professionals, and from Feng Zhu himself, and a bunch of others. People don't really care if you have a degree or not. It's just sort of like, how good are you? And if they're both equally skilled, like that's a very, I don't know, sort of obscure sort of thing. But it's just like, okay, let's say they are completely and utterly equally skilled in whatever subject matter they're in. Then it just depends on what the studio or who the employer is. And then it's just like, oh, do I work better with this person? Do I like this person's style more? You know, it's that kind of thing. Degrees have nothing to do with this industry.
What you might get, though, is you might get the networking easier through schools. I would say this is definitely the case where I went to Vancouver Film School, and there's a bunch of film studios. Well, there are some film studios, but it was specifically animation studios because I studied animation, and they said straight up two things. Because we went on a studio tour of one of the local studios who happened to be working on My Little Pony at the time. I guess they still are. But anyway, they said, well, we have a big list of applicants. We have like a huge pile, and we always pick the Vancouver Film School people first, and out of those we pick the people who are local residents of Vancouver and who are citizens. Why? Because if they are hiring Canadian citizens, they get a tax credit. So it becomes easier for them. And then because of their school, because a lot of the higher-ups in there went to that school, they feel like, yeah, we'll pick you over the next school, even though there's a local school nearby. There's a few schools. They will pick this school, and then out of that, they will pick a local resident. But it's a case of if the other person has much more skill, much more quality, like the other school or just someone who's just anybody, they're going to pick that person. It's not going to be enough that you went to a school. It helps in a case, and it's not fair. The thing is kind of rigged against you in this one situation anyway. When I went to the studio, it is rigged against the people who hadn't been to that school, but
well, keep in mind also that's a very specific thing. It's sort of like, oh, there's this one studio that specifically picks this one school for their for their applicants. It's just like, yeah, that's one studio in the entire world. You go to the other side of the world, you might be working in China, you might be working in America, Japan, whatever. It's sort of like, oh, you have this one degree from this one school. Well, that's not going to make a lick of difference anymore.
Yeah.
That's very specific, and that's very small. So it's just like, it's always better to have better skill, because then it's just like, oh, you can go anywhere then. You're not limited. Oh yeah, are there any prompts?
Yeah, I pasted them in the Hangout.
Oh, okay.
I pasted some of them, at least the ones that I can keep track of.
All right. Do we have more questions? Did we go through all the
the ones in the email. It's really hard to scroll up through there's a lot of. What can you say about heavy use of texture in your painting and coloring? Coloring it from grayscale. Also, do you know Dave Raposa? If you do, what do you think about his art? Sort of ties into.
Dave never went to school, and I think his work I respect a lot. There are things I don't respect about him and things I respect about him, but in terms of his work, I respect him. In terms of his entrepreneurial spirit, I respect it. The decisions he made that weren't personal, I respect. But yeah, I think it's good. And then the texture thing, I'm not really big into textures, so I'm not the best to ask him about, because I don't like it. And why would you ask someone who doesn't like it? It's kind of like if I was showing my Pointy chins thing and someone really hated the sharp style, and then it's like I'm asking their criticism, or for a critique, like, hey, what do you think of my work? I don't like pointy chins. I'm gonna give you a bad critique. So for me, I don't like textured stuff, heavily textured stuff, and so I wouldn't be the best person for this. What was the other thing, the grayscale thing?
Okay, hang on, let me scroll to it. There's a lot of chat going on. Sorry, I can't find it again.
That's okay.
You said you make videos to teach your younger self things you wish you knew. Would you do a video on building an audience or getting attention to your art? And there's another guy who asks if you think you would have made it as a professional artist if you didn't have YouTube. Don't remember the question.
Now?
Reading it.
Now, yeah. Doing my style thing, yeah. Give me some time. But yeah. Because I haven't had, a lot of people don't know about me, well, in the beginning. Now they tend to know me from YouTube, but in the earlier stage of my career, I guess, whatever, they didn't know me, so they still hired me for that. And then they found out about the YouTube. It's like, oh, cool, that's nice. Would I say I was really good? No, I don't think I ever got close to a top-tier artist. I never considered myself a top-tier artist. When I look at guys like Dave Raposa, when I look at guys like Feng Zhu, am I them? No. I'm not delusional. I don't think I am as good as they are. But I think my problem was I was not going for my passion. I was just doing what I thought was... I don't know. I should be doing. I was a lot of shoulds in that. And then, what was the first part you asked? Because I have a bad memory.
Yeah. You make videos to teach your younger self things you wish you knew. Would you do a video on building an audience or getting attention to your art?
Okay, building an audience, to me, I think you should ask someone like Jazza or Proco who are really good at this stuff. Because for me, what are you doing, Bob? Okay. Don't do this. It will make the video age restricted.
I was looking at the prompt.
He just wants to drive it like his own.
The prompt. Common sense, people. I don't want to.
I can do a
That was something else. Anyway, that was a duck doing something entirely different.
Well, he was technically wielding a blade. Come on.
He was wielding a blade. Fine, blade, but
A blade.
anyway. I didn't try. My audience thing is because I was making a thing for my younger self. So how would I be building an audience? I did not plan to build an audience. I started early because no one else was doing art videos. So if someone wants to say, oh, this person's much better than you and they don't have as big of an audience and they deserve it, well, they should have been doing it before. Because I see this thing of people will sort of jump onto what's already established, but like one person will do Patreon and it gets successful and it's like, oh, we should do it now. Or one person starts doing YouTube videos and then it's like, or a few people are starting to do YouTube videos and it's like, wow, they're actually making money doing videos, but we're so much better, now we should do it. It's like, so you're doing it because they're making money and you want to make money and you think you deserve something. I guess that's fair, but for me, I did it because I wanted to teach. That's it. I wanted to teach, and the money thing, I'm not going to lie, I do make money from YouTube now. And the reason is probably thanks to Evan Burse from Cartoon Block, because he was coaching me all the time and like, you need to become a partner. And it's like, I already got a partnership thing like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's like, you need to finish it and do all this thing and you will get an income. And it's like, okay, I guess. I don't know. And so I did it. And yeah, I got some money from it. And that's nice. That's really good. But that is not where I started from. That is not why I started doing it. The thing that changes, though, is when you want it to become a career. Because there's this thing of like, okay, every second I invest in this thing, if it's not making me any money, is getting... unless it's getting me exposure, which I don't see clients looking at your YouTube thing and being like, oh, you're really popular on YouTube, therefore we're going to hire you. No, they don't do that. So they will look at your portfolio and say, this is really good, therefore we'll hire you. But it's never been that way. So I think, I don't know, the money thing becomes important when it's like, I want to spend more time on my videos. I want to create better content. And this is my career, and I happen to enjoy it. Like, I really like it now. I like teaching. I like doing this stuff. I really like the Pointy Chin series. It's something that it's like, I want to spend time doing this, and it's nice that I get money doing that. Now, I would get more if I was doing more freelance work. That's just the reality of it. I've tried not to do things like Patreon and this and that, because it's like, no, my tutorials are free. I have done 1 or 2 tutorials that cost money, and the reason is that I started to feel that the videos weren't getting appreciated quite so much, and I was attracting students who didn't care that much about stuff. And I wanted to make at least a few that are more in-depth, that I don't have to worry about people complaining, this video is too long, this series is too long. Because here's the thing that happens is, if I make a bunch of videos that are super long, let's say they're 3 hours, and they're super helpful in terms of teaching you foundations, fine, but a lot of people are going to tune out, and they'll be like, this channel is too long and too boring, and I don't want to see it. So there is a sweet spot which I am not hitting, which certain artists are hitting, but I am not hitting, and it's like a 10-minute video. Create a 10-minute video-ish. Be sure to say like, comment, subscribe, favorite this video, thumbs up. Well, that's like, sorry. Being very active in the social side, having a good presentation, developing all these things to make it so your audience grows. There are people who know how to do this very well, but I'm not one of them, and I don't know. I don't make that much from YouTube, but it's something. I'm not going to say it's nothing.
It's also that every week you do a video, you feel responsible.
Yeah.
It's like, it's created this way of life for you. Oh, this is my YouTube day, I focus on this, and when you draw, you started the Pointy Chins thing. Oh, this is going to fall into this episode, this is going to fall into that. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
I guess making longer videos and putting them on Udemy or whatever would mean you get students who are as committed to learning as you are to teaching.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a contract between.
Yeah, I mean, if I was saying, like, I'm going to make a course and it costs $200 and only serious people would go for it and I could be super in-depth and stuff, it's like, well, yeah, that makes a degree of sense. But so far, I'm still holding out on, I think this is helpful anyway. And I didn't have much money when I didn't have any money when I was young, and I didn't have access to things simply because I couldn't afford them, and so I was much more aiming for people like me who didn't have money and want knowledge and want stuff. But at the same time, I still have to do freelance stuff to earn money, so I'm not going to be a type of person who is saying I'm going to drop everything so I can make as many YouTube videos as possible, because that would mean I can't afford to live anymore. So anyway.
I guess from what you told me, you wanted a connection of some sort. You were doing these videos for people like you, for people who will benefit from this style of teaching. Because there's a way of teaching that works for some people, and there's a way of teaching, like your left brain and right brain separation. Sure, that's whatever, a guideline, but you have an approach to teaching, and some students have the same approach to learning, and that's where you'll click. That's the people who stick with you. Do you think silhouette is better or line art to start a portrait, for example?
I wouldn't say either is better, but I think even if you're doing silhouette, pay attention to the big shape that you're doing. If you're doing line art, pay attention to the big shape that you're doing. It's the exact, like, it's the same thing, but in different approaches. The thing with silhouettes is some people find it easier to think in shapes instead of lines and contours and things. It's like, it is easier for me to think like I'm sculpting something out of clay than I am encasing something by lines. But whatever works for you, I would say do that. But you're still thinking about the exact same things. You're thinking about proportion, you're thinking about placement and perspective and good gesture and good shapes and stuff. So.
Do you think storytelling is the only way you can really get the life in your art?
Do I think storytelling is the only way?
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very good way to get life in art. I think expressions are also emotion. Human emotion is a good way. But I don't think it's the only way. And the reason I say that is because when I was, I guess I was in my early 20s, maybe 21, maybe 19 or 18, I don't know. But I was with a teacher called Justin Ogilvie, and he was talking about these two things. Now imagine these are two canvases, right? Okay, so now I'm going to do something. I'm going to clip it down. Okay, so this canvas is a work of art. Let's say that's done, okay? So that's done. And this is done. Two images. And they're both done. Now, oops. Okay, so you look at this, and what does it feel like? Well, inside, it worked for me, but I don't know if it'll work for you. But I feel okay. I feel like a degree of safety, and like I feel fine looking at this. Now, when I look at this, I feel kind of heavy. I feel sort of ominous. And the reason is that when we are outside, we are used to seeing a dark ground and a light sky. Usually the sky is much higher in value than the ground is. Even at nighttime, the ground is usually, well, unless it's like very heavily lit, but even then, no, not even then, but usually your lighter area is in the sky and your darker area is on the ground. So this feels safe, this feels comfortable. This feels like things are amiss. The thing that is dark is on the top. It feels like, again, you may not feel this way, but it's a way that it did work for me, and he was describing this, and I thought it was very interesting, that you feel like there's a heavy weight coming down. It's ominous. It's like this could be harmful, this could be hurting me, this could be dangerous. Where is the storytelling in this and this? There's no story. It's a story you build in your head. So I would say when you deal with abstract art, you are getting other cues. It's not just this is a person and they want to go to the market and they are holding a basket and the basket is empty and you see the market off to the side and it's like, they brought their empty basket to the market to get supplies, so they will fill it. It's like, there's a nice story here. Sure, that is storytelling, but there's also a different thing of just playing with someone's emotions or getting in touch with someone's emotions. Or for me, I was really interested in just emotions on faces because it would have a feeling to it in itself. I didn't need excess story. I didn't need this person is doing something. It's like, no, just give me the emotion. Just give me a sense of I am connected to you, or give me a feeling. I am feeling this. And the same thing can be true with music. Some of it, it's nice to have music with lyrics. It's almost like someone saying, you need music with lyrics, you need music that conveys a story. No, you don't. You can have music that's just instrumental that, depending on your mood, it feels different. Like, sometimes you're in a sad mood and it sounds like a sad song, sometimes it sounds like a happy song. So to me, to say something like you need X or Y, think it, not Y as in pick Y, but there's more to things than just this limited view. Art is very big. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot to take from it. And I wouldn't say storytelling is not important. I think it's super important, but I would never say you only need this, you only need that. I wouldn't even say you only need fundamentals, you only need good proportion, you only need appeal. Even though I really believe in that those things are super important, I would never claim that this is something you have to have, because I don't believe in that.
Pierre is asking, where do you see your art going and what is your end goal? What story are you trying to tell the world?
Affinity! I'm trying to tell people affinity. And I'm just, okay, so I get my art, and I have this thing where I don't mind art cool for the sake of cool. I don't mind superficial art. I have nothing against it. I have nothing against eye candy. So on one level, I want to be doing that. On the other hand, I want to do some kind of exercises where it's like I'm interested in seeing other characters done in my style. Like, how would I handle it? How would I do the scene? How would I deal with what's appealing? But the real thing is my graphic novel that I'm working on with Bob Meatbag, Affinity. I want to do that. It's a real story. It's not, well, I feel it's a really good story that I want to tell, and so that's where I'm heading, and hopefully I'll have the skill to do that.
Apparently you didn't answer the late bloomer question.
What's a late bloomer question?
The guy who didn't draw until he was 25, never drew. How does he start? Apparently you derailed. I didn't notice it either, so.
Didn't I say just look at the videos, the pointy chins, and the how to draw, and it'll teach you that?
I don't remember.
I thought I did, but
I lost it. I'm brain dead.
That was my thing. Is you can do it. 25 is not as late as I started my style, but this is it. Just look at those videos.
Yeah, but you already had a background in drawing, in painting, in.
That's true, but how much of that am I using?
Now, a lot. The habit. Think about the habit.
Okay, draw as much as you possibly can. Find a way to learn the foundations. That's what I would say to someone starting out. Get the foundations under your belt as soon as possible and draw a lot. Get your mileage. Those are the two things that will really help you. Mileage and fundamentals. So draw a lot and analyze a lot and work at this.
I am not asks, you talk about how you need to develop your artistic eye to improve as an artist. Is there any way of practicing your artistic eye as you would your drawing skills?
What do you mean, artistic eye?
I guess it's an eye and hand thing. Like, how do you practice figuring stuff?
Just drawing a lot? Like, it works both. Like, this is why, like, okay, why am I always saying draw, draw, draw? Drawing is so important. I'm saying it because it works on everything. Do another example. Another example. So here we have just white, and let's do this. Okay. I don't draw vehicles. I don't draw environments much. Putting myself on the spot, but here. Okay. Because I care about shapes, here's a vehicle, and it's like a spaceship thingy, and there's a bunch of fighters down here, and it's a space scene, and there's a planet in the background here. Don't know if this makes any sense, so let's throw on some value. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay, so and let's get some lights in here. Bunch of stars and stuff, but it's like, okay, this is, I'm not saying it's great because I don't think it's great, but it's like, it's an environment type thing with vehicles, and it's, why is it easy to do? Because I draw all these pointy chins and stuff. So when people are like, oh, you're doing all these things, why aren't you doing other things? Why aren't you doing, you know, why don't you experiment? Because just by doing this stuff, I will get better at all that other stuff. It's built in. Drawing well will help you in anything, even stuff you don't do often. So, I don't know. For me, it's important to do drawing. It's got all these hidden rewards.
I think they were talking more about improving or refining your taste. What you appreciate, what you see, whether you spot the mistakes, whether you...
You do spot the mistakes easier the more you draw, because you're working on proportion, you're working on all these things that it forces you to train your eye. If you get better at drawing, you get better at value. You get better at shape language. If you're thinking, like, I'm not saying draw nothing, like just draw, just move your hand and close your eyes and move your hand. No, I'm saying pay attention, and as you get better, your eye will improve. Your ideas will get better because you've tried them and you've thrown away the bad ones. Do you have anything to add, Jeff? And Bob?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Would you say that your attention span for art has lengthened over the years?
Yep, I think that happens too.
With the games.
The games?
Well, no, I'm not going to play these games. I could be doing art or...
Yeah, it becomes a lot easier. I would say the worst part of an artistic journey is the middle part. I talked about this in a video. I forget which one it was. I think it was a speed painting video, and I was talking about One Piece and loofah and stuff. And anyway, there's this journey where you're near the shore and you want to get to a distant island, and then at first it's like, hey, I'm near the shore, I see my progress, and then there's this long expanse of water where you are not seeing your progress. You are just in the middle of the ocean. You're not sure if you're going anywhere, if it means anything, if it's working or not. But the thing is, eventually you will get to where you need to be. So the middle part is really the most difficult part. But I think as you get to seeing that other island, and you see the distant horizon, you see the mountains peak up, that's when it starts getting to the point where it's really fun and rewarding, and it's not so much forcing yourself to get better, it's more, no, I want to do this, I want to draw more, this is actually fun for me.
You don't do much outside of art anymore.
Yeah, I should.
You should.
I should, but
Move to Romania.
It's really interesting. It's this thing of like, I play video games and it's not as fun as art. Because art, I feel like I'm really getting something. I can play a video game and I gain a level with my character. It's like, okay, what did I get? I got a level up. Okay, so this character on the screen that someone else made in this story improved. But as soon as I've beaten the game, I've got nothing. Like, oh, what happened? I spent this time having fun. I had some fun. Maybe it's more fun than if I was just drawing. But when I level up in art, that's forever. I have this now. I am stronger. I am the video game character. I am the one whose stats have gone up. I got more EXP. Not the character on the screen. Me. So that's way more interesting. And I think we'll take one more, and then...
Okay, apparently the question before was about expanding your visual library. So, yeah.
I think drawing a bunch of stuff helps. Seeing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, experience. But can you, like, for example, there's people who are largely introverts. So they will prefer to spend time indoors. So how would they do that?
Internet.
There are plenty of artists who recommend, oh, go travel, do whatever, socialize with people, learn things.
Yeah, Jeff's saying internet. Bob's saying internet, sorry.
Yeah. So how would you do that, Jeff? How did you go about it?
Well, what I would do is just that I would just look up stuff on the internet, like, oh, look up different locations, look up different types of buildings. Like, if you have an idea of what you want, just look that stuff up, and it's like, it's all there. Of course, seeing it in person is different than, just looking up at a picture, but it's like you have the internet at your disposal. You can search up a lot of stuff with that. If you don't want to go traveling or anything like that.
All right.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it. So I want to go ahead and thank Bob Beatbag. Thanks, Bob, for joining me. And
no problem.
We actually had over 700 viewers at one point in this stream. Amazing.
Wow. Imagine all those people in person at your booth.
Here's the thing that's so bad with me and my brain. So we had, I think it topped out around 711, and now it's at 635, and all I think of is how much I lost. Like, I don't think I had 600 people watching my video.
And you have 600 people watching your video.
Sorry. I'm really grateful. But I just think of like, everyone was so bored, and I lost a seventh of my audience, and Anyway, sorry. It's disrespectful to the people who stayed. So I really appreciate you all, and a special thanks to Flavia for taking the questions, and not just that, also making them smart and intelligible, and making me smart and intelligible. So. And thank you to you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you learned something, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.